a lot, Tim, and thanks to ShareCafe. Also, thanks to the last two presenters who've set up an excellent platform for us to start our talk. As Tim mentioned, we listed in 2017 and we recently rebranded, and in that regard, we've become a bit of a hidden under the radar. So we've still got a very small market cap, but we've got an excellent opportunity for investors to be leveraged to an excellent exploration play. A quick overview of the company is we've got a strong team, we've got a strong culture and a small market cap, as I mentioned, and we've got some, and a lot of people use the word world-class, but we actually have really world-class targets in our sites. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we've got a number of projects in our portfolio. Today I'll only be focusing on the Yalgoo region, which is the 4 projects on the left-hand side of this slide. Next slide, please. So for those who aren't aware of Yalgoo, it's getting a bit of attention at the moment due to some high-profile exploration success in the north of the belt. But the short version is that it was a very, very high-grade greenstone belt production centre at the turn of the 20th century, and it's been largely forgotten about because of the enormity of Kalgoorlie and other greenstone belts. But this one's been sitting here quietly for quite a long time, ridiculously underexplored. And we've been in here for about 3 years, so we've got a first mover advantage, and we think that we have some excellent projects, which I'll be explaining to you. The important thing to mention is that within this belt, you've got, it's about 100 kilometres from north to south, from Yalgoo in the north to Mount Gibson in the south. And basically every 10 to 20 kilometres, you have a world-class mine, whether it be gold, copper, tungsten, iron ore. And we're very excited about the prospect of moving forward from here. Another thing to remember is that this is only a few hours north of Perth, so we have all the major infrastructure there. This is not expensive. We can move rapidly into construction and development if required, and it's also very cheap exploration, which is very helpful. So we have railroads. The Great Northern Highway literally goes straight past our project. We have communications, water, everything is there for us right now. Next slide, please. So a few days ago, we announced that we've initiated our first drilling program up at the Yalgoo region, and our first target is the Warrior West project. The Warrior West project represents what's commonly known as an intrusive related gold system. These are not well explored for in Western Australia. And but I think with the discovery of Hemi, which is admittedly a slightly different beast, and also the acquisition of Pogo by Northern Star, I think that a lot more people are becoming interested in intrusive related gold systems in Western Australia. The Warrior West project is it's the western side of a pluton, a monzonite pluton in the middle of the Yalgoo greenstone belt, and the target area we have is approximately 15 kilometres by 3 kilometres, so it's quite large. And within that 15 kilometre, I guess, target area, we have strong alteration, which is typical of these systems. We have multiple multi-kilometre geochemical anomalies, which are usually typified by elements such as tungsten, bismuth, and arsenic. And we also have outcropping quartz veins regularly throughout the project. And that is what originally attracted us to this area, given that it was mapped as a barren granite. Literally, that's the words used in old reports. But we found some prospectors out there encountering some very high-grade gold, we'll say. And so we got in here, and now we understand what the system is, and we're just starting the drilling on this project. We've already found some high-grade in quartz veins at the project, including an 8 gram per tonne at the far north of the project, and that's one of our first drilling targets, if we'll see them on the next slide. So we've got 3 drilling targets we have just started drilling into. We've got Wheelode in the far north, OK Corral, and the Donut. These are all extremely high argillic and in some cases potassic altered zones associated with a strong structural trend throughout the area. We're very excited to see what this comes out, and we've just got broad space drilling to basically determine just how much gold is floating around in the system before we move into more detailed drilling later on. Next slide, please. In addition to the Warriedar West project, which you see in the bottom left of the picture on the screen, we also have the Malaya Project. It's all part of the same system, but we've separated this into two different projects because they're targeting different commodities and they're also different geological units. The exciting thing about the Malaya Project is that it is about 20 to 30 kilometres of a brand new greenstone belt that no one has realised is there before. So a lot of this ground has never been pegged before, and in fact it was incorrectly mapped in the past as granite. And so we have exactly the same rocks that have the altered about million ounce Minjar deposit, and then you've got the prolific Golden Grove VMS system. And exactly the same rocks that contain those 2 deposits come down and then bend around to the east, which is the Malaya Project. So earlier in the year, we did wide space geochemical sampling over the top of a large portion of the project, just to get a feeling for what was going on there. And to our surprise, basically everything lit up. So we were a little bit bemused by that, and so now we've had to go back and do a lot more infill so that we can really narrow down on where we're going to drill there. In addition to that, we've got brand new geophysics over the project, which has come up with some very exciting targets standing out there. So just to reiterate, this is 20 or 30 kilometres of the greenstone belt, which holds multiple world-class deposits every 10 to 20 kilometres, and we have between 20 and 30 kilometres of that belt that has never been explored before. Next slide, please. In addition to that, we've also got some ground literally right beside Golden Grove to the north. The Messenger project similarly has been underexplored. It's been largely held by private prospectors for decades and hasn't been explored to any modern standard. We have greenstone belt out there with BIF outcropping. We have the same volcanic units that host the Golden Grove deposit. And we've also got some very interesting geochemistry, which we're working on at the moment and will be announcing in the near term. We also have to point out that it isn't far from the Firefly discovery or Firefly drilling up in the Yalgoo, just to the north of us. Next slide, please. Also in the same area, we have the Euro project. As you can see from the image there, we have the Carrara iron ore mine to the northwest, which in actual fact was originally a gold discovery. It's gold hosted within the BIFs, which are now being mined as iron ore. To the east of us, we have Mount Mulgine, which similarly is now known as a extremely large tungsten skarn. However, it has also got several quite sizable gold pits there, which have fed the Minjar and other processing facilities in the past. And to the south of us, in exactly the same rock units which we're exploring, we have the fairly infamous Rothsay mine, which was recently bought by Silver Lake, and they are currently going back into production. They have a decline of the pit there in action as we speak. So in addition to that, right in the center of that triangle, we have some historic drilling results which have been uncovered during our data analysis. So we've got quite thick intercepts of approximately 15 metres at 1 gram and 15 metres at 2 grams. And back in the 90s and early 2000s, when companies such as Aztec were drilling this, these grades were not economic and they weren't even of exploration interest. So they were largely just left there and forgotten about. And now we've uncovered it and we're very excited to get in there and do some drilling as well. Next slide, please. So for most investors, you're usually after a number of things. You're after the projects and you're after the people. And we certainly have a class team, both at board level and at management level. On the left, you see we have Brian Mollop, who's our chairman and also a chairman of a number of other ASX and other jurisdiction companies, including the high-profile SolGold in Ecuador. Myself, for those that don't know me, I'm a geologist. I've been in the industry my entire life. I've been working as a geologist for more than 20 years, all over the world in 6 continents, and I've been involved with a number of ASX companies in the past. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we also have a world-class team, including our technical advisor, whose name's Dr. Anthony Mori, who previously worked at Golden Grove and many other places. He and our team, we are strongly invested in our culture. Every single one of our employees and our board are shareholders. And we also strongly believe in the sustainability of our industry and doing things right. So we have a data culture. So all our work is done digitally and goes straight into our cloud database and reviewed in real time by our team. Next slide, please. Corporately, we've, as I mentioned earlier, I believe we're extremely undervalued compared to many of our peers. And I think that's because we've been transitioning to our new brand. And I think after people learn what we're up to and the potential scale of our exploration activities, then that will be a re-rate very quickly. So it's a great opportunity for investors to be involved early in the story at a low price. We've only got 236 million shares on issue, and we've got about $1 million in the bank. And as I said earlier, all the board are major shareholders, including myself and Owen Birchall as the number 1 and 2 on the list there. Next slide, please. Also, I want to point out that we have a very strong news flow coming up from our exploration pipeline. We have our drilling that I mentioned already, but we've also got ongoing fieldwork at all our other projects. So we'll have geochemical results, we'll have lots of things coming up that I can't disclose at this time, but stay tuned. That's it.
Thanks, Don. You don't look old enough to have 20 years experience as a geologist.
I appreciate that. Many people tell me that I'm older than I look. So.
There you go. That's a compliment, Don. So you look like you're spoiled for choice. How do you are a geologist? How do you prioritise the different assets with your capital requirements?
That's an excellent question. One of the answers to that is our data-driven culture that I mentioned earlier. So we're big on getting a lot of information so that we can make informed choices about what we do, and therefore we can prioritise in that regard.
And what does the kind of next 3 to 6 months look like in terms of kind of exploration?
It's going to be a flat-out drilling program at the Warrior West project, and then also we're going to be moving on to some of our other drilling targets we've got at some of the other projects. So it's just going to be a constant pipeline of drilling results.
And you mentioned some big names during the presentation. Are they potential partners or JV partners in some regard?
Certainly, we've had talks with a number of people before, and there's definitely interest in both our projects and the way that we're doing things. So always open to opportunities, but at the end of the day, everything we do is about making the best economic return for our shareholders.